The galactic Senate Hall of Viridian Prime shimmered like a cathedral made of glass and arrogance. Sunlight from 3 distant stars filtered through its crystal roof, refracted into kaleidoscopic banners of color that danced across the marble floor. Thousands of delegates murmured, scaled ones clicking claws, feathered ones preening nervously, metallic ones humming low vibrations through their armor. At the center stood the imperial chair, and upon it, Her Radiance, Empress Calith of the Galactic Empire, who looked like the concept of superiority sculpted into flesh. Her crown pulsed faintly with bioluminescent veins, her eyes cold enough to freeze plasma. "Bring the report," she commanded, her voice calm and final, like the closing of a coffin. A trembling Varnan aide slithered forward, holding a hollow tablet as if it were explosive. "Your Radiance, the matter concerns a newly discovered species from the Sol system. A backwater planet called Earth." The word earned polite laughter. The sound rippled across the chamber like wind across glass. A hulking reptilian general leaned back and smirked, his jaw lined with metal fangs. "Ah yes, the primates. We've heard of them. Warlike, undisciplined, still rely on combustion engines, and their leaders wear cloth instead of armor." A diplomat from the Sharn Collective, whose translucent skull revealed a constantly firing brain, chuckled dryly. "Their entire nuclear arsenal could barely dent a cruiser hull. What are we to fear? That they might throw sticks?" The Empress raised a hand for silence. "Yet our analysts found it prudent to bring them before me. There must be something noteworthy. Proceed." The aide swallowed hard. "Yes, Your Radiance. They call a particular subset of soldiers special forces. They have an alarming rate of success in asymmetric warfare. Historical files indicate." The general snorted. "Primitive irregulars, no doubt. Every new species claims to have elite warriors." "Yes, General, but these humans appear to win wars they should not even survive." A hollow screen flickered to life above the Senate floor. Grainy footage rolled. Humans moving through rain-drenched jungles, black paint on their faces, eyes like predatory glass. Then desert footage. Small teams dismantling armored columns with eerie precision. The final clip froze, a group photo. Dozens of soldiers in battered fatigues grinned at the camera, arms around each other, dirt-streaked, exhausted, alive. In the front stood a woman, mid-30s, sharp-jawed, hair pulled into a careless bun, holding a cup of coffee and an expression of polite amusement. "This is Colonel Alexandra Rains," the aide said. "Codename, Mother Hen." That name earned fresh laughter. "Mother Hen?" The Sharn diplomat wheezed, feathers shaking. "Their commander names herself after livestock." But the younger members of the audience, the ones with combat experience, didn't laugh as easily. They noticed her posture, how relaxed it was. They noticed the eyes that measured everything in the frame, the photographer, the horizon, the possible exit points. She led a task force that operated across 53 planetary engagements on their own world, the aide continued. According to intercepted transmissions, her teams specialize in, how do they phrase it? Creative problem solving. Their motto is, "No plan survives contact, so make it fun." "Fun," repeated the Empress softly, tasting the word. A murmur spread. The aliens could not decide whether to find this charming or insane. "Your Radiance," a thin gray minister interrupted. "There are rumors they seek contact. An exchange program. A joint training initiative, as they call it." "Training?" The reptilian general bared his fangs. "We are the masters of warfare in this galaxy. What could we learn from monkeys who name wars after desserts?" The Empress tilted her head. "Desserts? Your Radiance, they have something called an Operation Cakewalk." "I rest my case." Laughter erupted again, until one of the war historians, an elder crustacean scholar, clicked his claws for attention. "Permission to speak freely, Empress?" "Granted. Every empire that underestimates a laughing enemy dies laughing." That silenced the hall for a heartbeat. Then the Empress leaned forward. "Send them our regards. Accept their request. Let them come. Let our best observe these specialists. Perhaps we can learn the extent of their delusion." The aide hesitated. They insist, Your Radiance, that the exercise take place on neutral ground, a jungle moon designated Ardanis for. They will provide their own transport. So be it. Her eyes narrowed, a faint smirk curving her lips. Let the primates amuse us. Across the stars, on a modest blue-green world, Colonel Rains yawned over a tablet of mission details. Her bunk was cluttered with empty coffee packs and ration wrappers. She wore the easy calm of someone who had survived too much to be impressed by the word empire. "Brief me," she said to her adjutant, a young sergeant with too much caffeine in his veins. "They think it's joint training, ma'am." She stirred her coffee. "Good. Let them think." "You're really going through with this?" She smiled faintly, eyes on the distant curvature of Earth visible through the viewport. "They want to study humans. Let's give them the full experience." The adjutant hesitated. "Ma'am, what exactly is our mission?" Rains leaned back, voice light. "To educate." Back in the Senate Hall, preparations began. Thousands of soldiers volunteered, desperate to prove alien superiority. Propaganda posters went up. "The Empire welcomes its guests from Earth." Beneath, smaller text. "Observe and overwhelm." Yet some among them were uneasy. Reports whispered through channels. Their early scouts on Ardanis IV had gone silent. Drones crashed without reason. Sensors failed in predictable patterns, as though someone were teaching them lessons in humility. In the Empress's private chamber, her chief intelligence officer approached, skin flickering with anxious colors. "Your Radiance, forgive me, but the humans, they requested to arrive without escort or weapons inspection." She raised a brow. "Arrogant, aren't they?" "Yes, Majesty," they said, and I quote, "You wouldn't frisk the teachers before class, would you?" Her smile faltered. Just slightly. She dismissed the officer and gazed out toward the void, where stars burned like the eyes of old gods. Somewhere out there, a small planet spun, full of strange creatures who laughed while preparing for war. Days later, news channels across the Empire broadcast the ceremonial greeting on Ardanis IV. Cameras captured columns of gleaming alien soldiers standing at attention, banners shimmering, generals preening for the press. Then the human shuttle descended, small, black, unmarked. The ramp lowered. 5 figures emerged. No armor. No exosuits. Just simple fatigues and an air of indifference. Colonel Rains led them, holding her coffee mug like a sacred artifact. She raised it in a mock toast to the crowd of armored titans who watched her, as though she were a lab specimen. "Morning," she said, her accent clipped, cheerful. "Lovely day for fieldwork." The translator drones hesitated, confused whether to interpret her tone as friendly or threatening. General Korvac, towering and scaled, stepped forward with ceremonial disdain. "Colonel, the Empire welcomes your people. We look forward to teaching you how professionals conduct warfare." Rains smiled, unblinking. "Oh, absolutely. Always nice to compare notes." The way she said it made several officers shift uncomfortably. She turned to her team. "Set up camp near the ridge. Keep it quiet, folks. Wouldn't want to disturb the wildlife." Within minutes, the humans vanished into the foliage. Sensors tracked them, then lost them. Thermal readings flickered out. Communication pings returned empty echoes. The Empire's elite commanders stared at their consoles, frowning. "Where did they go?" "Unknown, sir. It's as if the jungle ate them." The Empress, watching from her palace feed, leaned forward on her throne. For the first time that day, her expression wavered. Colonel Rains's voice crackled softly through the comm link, calm and almost playful. "Testing complete. You may begin when ready." The Empress frowned. "Testing? What test?" Then the feed cut to static. And somewhere deep in the canopy of Ardanis IV, a human laugh echoed. Low, amused, almost tender. The kind of laugh predators make when the game finally begins. The jungle moon of Ardanis IV breathed like a living beast. Mist drifted between colossal trees that glowed faintly blue in the humid dark. Their roots coiled like serpents through moss that swallowed footsteps. The air shimmered with strange life, shrill insects, luminous spores, and the soft, pulsing hum of the Empire's hovering drones. Beneath that noise, another sound whispered. Silence, intentional and terrifying. General Korvac stood at the edge of the landing zone, his armor gleaming with ceremonial gold, posture swollen with pride. Behind him, 200 of the Empire's finest soldiers formed perfect lines, disciplined, flawless, mechanical. Across the clearing, the humans were scattered like tourists at a campsite. They had no formation, no discipline, just laughter, quiet conversation, and a smell of burned coffee that infuriated him. Colonel Alexandra Rains knelt beside a small campfire, carving something into the dirt with a stick. Her expression was casual, but her eyes tracked every drone, every blade of grass that moved out of rhythm. She didn't look at Korvac when he approached. She didn't have to. "Colonel," he said, voice metallic, "the simulation begins in 5 minutes. You may wish to brief your people properly." She smiled without standing. "Already done. We just don't need to yell about it." He bristled. "Your confidence is misplaced. The Imperial Guard will not go easy on you." "Good," she said, finally meeting his gaze. "Wouldn't be much of a test otherwise." Her tone was polite, her words simple. Yet something in that voice, steady, measured, and utterly unconcerned, made the general's scales tighten involuntarily. The horn sounded. Instantly, the jungle erupted with motion. Alien squads spread into the undergrowth, their armor humming with energy fields, visors flickering with heat maps. Drones zipped through the canopy, scanning for human signatures. They found nothing. Only rain, heat, and moving shadows. Within minutes, the Empire lost its first patrol. "Unit Sigma, report." Static hissed. "Sigma, do you copy?" The monitor displayed a burst of interference, then a brief image, a helmet hanging upside down from a vine. A faint human whistle echoed in the background. General Korvac's claws scraped against his command console. "Find them. Now." Dozens of scouts swept the area. They found footprints that ended abruptly, comms beacons buried under stones, and words etched into the mud. "Nice try." From the treeline, something flashed, barely a blur. Then an explosion swallowed 3 armored troopers whole. The sound rolled across the jungle like thunder, and with it came laughter over the comm channel, calm and amused. "Boom goes the ego," said a human voice, distorted by the static. "Track that signal," barked Korvac. "Sir," his tech officer stammered. "They're bouncing transmissions through our own drones." "What?" They've named one of the drones. Steve." "Who is Steve?" "I don't know, sir. But it's transmitting motivational quotes in English." As the general bellowed for discipline, Colonel Rains watched from a ridge, half hidden beneath leaves. She held a compact tablet in one hand, her eyes cool and focused. Around her, her small squad moved like ghosts, barely stirring the grass. "Status?" she whispered. "Alpha 2, all objectives complete. They're flanking themselves now." "Good kids," she murmured, sipping from her metal mug. "Remember, nobody dies today. Not unless they ask politely." Back in the Imperial camp, the tone shifted from confidence to controlled panic. Their motion sensors malfunctioned, their drones began replaying human music, one playing "Stayin' Alive" through the jungle until someone shot it. Every few minutes, a supply crate detonated, its explosives replaced with something else entirely, paint grenades. Bright blue streaks covered several officers who stood frozen in embarrassment as laughter echoed across the comms. "Psychological warfare," muttered one strategist. "Primitive but effective." "It's not primitive," said the Sharn observer, shaking his feathery head. "It's art." By midday, the temperature rose to unbearable levels. Imperial soldiers struggled under the weight of their armor, panting, slipping in mud. Humans, light and unarmored, moved effortlessly through the terrain, disappearing when seen, reappearing when wanted. Rains didn't lead from the rear. She moved among them, silent as thought, her presence calm and grounding. A young human sergeant crouched beside her. "Permission to spook the command tent, ma'am?" She grinned. "Granted. but make it educational. Moments later, the Empire's command post went dark. Screens flickered, alarms blared, and then, suddenly, the holomap displayed a message in human script. Lesson 1. The terrain always belongs to whoever loves it more. The Sharn observer muttered. They're teaching during combat. Do they enjoy this? Yes, Korvac growled. They think war is a game. Perhaps that's what makes them so dangerous. Distant screams crackled through the comms. When rescue teams arrived, they found captured soldiers tied to trees, not injured, just sitting in silence. Each had a note taped to their armor. You're doing great. A+ effort. Would fight again. The general slammed his fist on the console. Enough humiliation. Deploy all heavy walkers. Massive mech suits lumbered into the jungle, each step shaking the ground. Rockets loaded, cannons charged, and the jungle filled with the mechanical growl of superiority. From the darkness, a human voice echoed over open channels. Hey, metalheads. Wanna play hide and seek? Before the general could respond, the jungle lit up. Blinding flashes, sonic disorienters, holographic decoys. The mechs fired at illusions, at echoes of sound that weren't there. Then, one by one, their sensors displayed a message in English. Boo! And they shut down. Silence followed, thick and absolute. The mist rolled in again, reclaiming the battlefield. When dawn finally came, the Empire's surviving troops gathered in a clearing. They were exhausted, mud-soaked and humiliated. Their armor was painted with cartoonish symbols. Smiley faces, hearts, a crude drawing of a chicken. At the center of the clearing stood Colonel Rains, perfectly composed, her coffee still steaming. Her squad emerged from the fog behind her, relaxed, joking, as if returning from a morning jog. Good exercise, she said cheerfully. Thanks for participating. General Korvac glared, his pride bleeding through every word. You sabotaged the simulation. No sabotage, she said. We followed the rules. We just interpreted them, creatively. He clenched his claws. You made a mockery of the Empire's honor. Rains took a long sip of coffee, then looked up at him with eyes that didn't blink. General, if this had been real, none of you would have made it past breakfast. The words hit harder than any weapon. The silence afterward felt heavier than the jungle air. Even the drones hovering overhead seemed to hesitate, as if unwilling to break the quiet. Finally, she extended a polite hand. Still, it's been enlightening. You fight beautifully when you're not thinking too hard. He ignored the gesture. Her smile didn't fade. Don't worry. We're just here to train. Imagine how bad it'd be if we were actually mad. Behind her, the soldiers began to pack up. The Imperial technicians moved among the wreckage, scanning for explanations. Every system failure, every anomaly, every vanished patrol, it all traced back to one impossible fact. The humans had done it with tools centuries outdated, a few clever hacks, and a sense of humor that made horror look like art. As Rains and her team ascended the ridge, the Empire's banner, once bright and proud, lay half-buried in mud. She paused beside it, brushed the dirt off, and looked out at the crimson sunrise bleeding through the mist. Her sergeant asked quietly, "Ma'am, do you think they'll still want that alliance?" She smiled faintly, the kind of smile that concealed too many plans. They'll want it more than ever. Fear and fascination are cousins, after all. Far below in the wrecked camp, General Korvac stared at the jungle that had devoured his army. The vines swayed gently as if mocking him. A faint message blinked on his damaged console. One last transmission from the humans, time-stamped just before the calm blackout. This was a courtesy demonstration. And then the screen went black, reflecting his stunned, wide eyes, eyes that had finally seen the face of evolution's cruelest joke. A smiling human with a cup of coffee and infinite patience. The Galactic Empire did not take humiliation well. For 3 solar cycles after the Ardani's 4 incident, every holostream, military dispatch, and Senate address seethed with one word: revenge. The loss of face, not life, wounded them deeper than any plasma burn. In grand halls carved from living stone, the Empress herself stood before her council, a vision of poise and quiet fury. The shimmering crown upon her head dimmed with each report. "They painted our armor with smiley faces," growled General Korvac, his scales dulled from stress. "They hacked our systems with nursery rhymes. We must respond." The Empress's eyes gleamed like cold moons. "Respond? No, General. We must correct the hierarchy." Behind her, holographic projections displayed the blue-green marble of Earth, suspended in the void like an invitation. 1,000 admirals saluted the image as if saluting prey. From the Imperial fleet's highest shipyard rose the Obsidian Veil, a dreadnought so large it could blot out a continent. 10,000 ships formed its escort, engines glowing like the rage of gods. The operation's codename, approved by unanimous vote, Containment Protocol, Terra. The Empire called it a peacekeeping maneuver. The humans called it a bad idea. From an orbital watch station above Mars, Colonel Rains watched the fleet's arrival on her monitor while stirring a cup of instant coffee. Her sergeant stood behind her, jaw tight. "That's a lot of ships, ma'am." She sipped. Hum. 10,000. What do we do?" She shrugged. "Probably something polite." He blinked. "Polite?" She turned, smiling faintly. Nothing scares bullies like good manners. Moments later, the Galactic fleet received a transmission. The image flickered to life across every bridge. Rains, calm, clean uniform, a cup of coffee steaming beside her. "Good evening, Your Radiance," she began cheerfully. "Lovely fleet you've got there. Would hate to see it, unsupervised near our orbit. We're conducting drills today. Might get loud." Silence filled the alien comms. Then laughter, bitter, mocking. "Your drills cannot harm us," Korvac said, his voice echoing across channels. "Our sensors detect no planetary weapons capable of challenging even a single cruiser." Rains raised an eyebrow. "Sensors can be wrong. Happens all the time. Especially after coffee." The Empress herself appeared on screen, regal and venomous. "Human, you will surrender your orbital territory to Imperial inspection. Failure to comply will result in correction." Rains tilted her head. "Correction noted. Permission to speak freely." "Denied." She smiled. "I'll take that as a yes." And then she cut the transmission. Seconds later, the fleet's scanners began to flicker. Earth's entire signal profile blurred, then vanished. Where did it go?" A technician stammered. "The planet's gone." The Empress leaned forward. "Impossible. Track again." But there was nothing, only blackness where Earth had been. The instruments screamed errors, gravity sensors fluctuated, and radar arrays collapsed under feedback loops. Then, one by one, Imperial systems started broadcasting music. A slow, cheerful tune, human in origin. Someone in the fleet recognized it. "Here comes the sun." Korvac slammed his claw into the console. "Find the source." His officer hesitated. "Sir, it's coming from inside our ships." Across the armada, displays flickered to life, showing a single message written in soft white text. "You brought too many ships. We ran out of parking space." Then the laughter began, recordings, overlapping, human and mechanical. Panic rippled through the command decks. Entire systems rebooted, navigation scrambled, and supply drones ejected cargo into space for no reason. One warship reported its toilets repeatedly flushing in Morse code. Another's environmental system produced nothing but the scent of coffee. The Empress's composure cracked. "They have infiltrated our core systems. Find the breach." "Your Radiance," a technician whispered, trembling. "They used social media." The silence that followed was almost holy. "Explain." "They uploaded a virus through our diplomatic channels. It spread via data mirrors, disguised as memes." Korvac's scales shifted pale. "They attacked us with jokes?" "Not jokes, sir. Jokes that work." Then the main holoscreen lit up. Colonel Rains appeared again, standing against the backdrop of a war room filled with calm officers. "Hi there," she said warmly. "We noticed you might be experiencing some technical issues. Don't worry, This is a non-lethal demonstration. We value good neighbors. You will pay for this, human, the Empress hissed. Ah, there it is, Rains said softly. The threat before the apology. She smiled faintly. We've studied that pattern. You sound just like we used to, before we got tired of our own arrogance. The comm line went dead. Then the fleet's forward sensors blinked. Earth had reappeared, glowing beneath them. For a brief, impossible moment, it looked peaceful. Then their long-range alarms screamed. Every Imperial ship registered multiple incoming objects. Missiles! Shouted a helmsman. Negative, said another, voice trembling. They're satellites. Dozens of civilian satellites, communications, weather, research, fell from orbit like glinting rain. They activated mid-descent, forming a shimmering grid around Earth. A new voice filled the Empire's comms. You approached without invitation. In response, we'll be running a live-fire demonstration. Please remain seated and hold your dignity. Then the sky lit up. Thousands of railgun flashes erupted from the dark side of the moon. Invisible to scanners, hidden under craters and silence, humanity had built a planetary defense network using scrap, stealth coatings, and stubborn ingenuity. Kinetic projectiles shredded the first line of the Imperial fleet. Explosions bloomed like violent constellations. Korvac's dreadnought shook violently. Shields down to 30%. Impossible! The Empress hissed. They had no such technology. Rains's voice came through again, gentle and bright. We recycle well. Within minutes, the fleet was in disarray. Navigation collapsed, ships collided, and emergency signals jammed. Then, from orbit, human shuttles emerged, unarmed, small, deliberate. They broadcast one universal symbol, a white flag. The Empress blinked. They surrender? The shuttles released canisters instead. When they burst, the space between ships filled with glittering particles, microscopic probes that attached to every hull, transmitting one final message in dozens of alien dialects. You started this for pride. We finished it for principle. The probes self-destructed harmlessly, but every system they touched now displayed a single haunting image. Colonel Rains, standing by a window with coffee in hand, sunlight behind her. Have a safe trip home, she said. We'll keep your parking spot warm. The transmission ended. Silence again. In the command throne of the Obsidian Veil, the Empress stared at the holographic projection of Earth, still glowing peacefully. The planet seemed almost mocking, serene, untouchable, aware. Korvac fell to one knee, voice hoarse. Your radiance, we cannot sustain another volley. Shall we retreat? Her jaw tightened. We do not retreat. Then we perish. The Empress closed her eyes, her pride collapsing beneath the weight of simple math. Full withdrawal, she whispered. The order rippled through the fleet. One by one, the great ships turned from Earth's orbit, limping, burning, broken in spirit. The galaxy watched in silence as the empire that ruled 1,000 worlds fled from one planet of smiling lunatics. Rains watched their departure from her command center, expression unreadable. Her sergeant approached cautiously. That was merciful of you, ma'am. She sipped her coffee. Mercy's just good strategy. They'll fear us longer that way. He hesitated. Do we tell command it's over? She looked out at the horizon, where the sky still shimmered from burning debris. It's never over. Empires don't learn. They just pause. A faint ping interrupted her thoughts. The comms panel flashed, an incoming encrypted transmission. It wasn't from the Empire. She opened it. A single message scrolled across the screen. They're regrouping. And they're not coming for war this time. They're coming to learn. Her lips curved into something between a smile and a sigh. Good, she whispered. Class resumes Monday. Outside the viewport, the stars glittered like the eyes of watching gods, and for the first time, the galaxy felt very small. Centuries later, the story of the woman called Mother Hen had outlived the empire she humbled. Her name echoed not in human mouths, but in alien prayers. On a dozen worlds, children whispered bedtime warnings about the one who smiled before battle. Soldiers carved her silhouette on their armor, coffee mug in hand, eyes sharp as a blade. Some claimed she was immortal. Others swore she was just an idea the universe invented to remind it of humility. But before she became a legend, she was still flesh and blood, walking quietly through the aftermath of her own handiwork. The war was long over, yet the galaxy trembled whenever Earth went silent for too long. The Empress was gone, her palace turned to glass during the collapse, and the surviving fragments of the Galactic Empire had splintered into uneasy republics. None dared provoke the humans again, but curiosity is a disease, and arrogance its relapse. Colonel Alexandra Rains was officially retired, though she never confirmed or denied her death. On the record, she vanished after her final mission, an extraction of kidnapped scientists from a rogue Imperial fortress on the edge of the Orion Rift. Off the record, her team had gone dark, operating without sanction or support. No medals. No recognition. Just one final call. We're going to bring our people home. The fortress was a relic of the old empire. Black spires rising from volcanic ash, its banners faded but its pride intact. Inside, the rogue commander, a young zealot named Tarek Valuin, watched the stars with the same arrogance the Empress once carried. He believed the galaxy could still be bent back into submission. When the humans came, he didn't even activate the alarms. "Let them come," he told his guards. "They are only 5. At midnight, the security feeds began to glitch. One by one, cameras blinked out. A patrol unit disappeared mid-sentence. The last recording showed a janitor pushing a mop across the corridor. The guards ignored him, until they realized too late that janitors didn't hum war songs while cleaning. By dawn, the fortress was silent. Doors welded shut from the inside, comms hijacked. From orbit, the observation drones saw only flashes of blue light, then static. When the smoke cleared, the fortress gates opened, and 50 human captives walked free, thin, trembling, but alive. Rains led them out herself, her uniform scorched, her expression calm. The rescued scientists tried to thank her, but she simply said, "Don't. You did your part. We just did ours." She looked back once, at the burning towers collapsing into the horizon. For a moment, her reflection flickered in the flames, tired, older, but unmistakably human. Then the fortress exploded. Not from bombs, but from within, its own systems tearing themselves apart. The virus she'd left behind would later be named the Hen's Gift. It spread quietly across surviving Imperial networks, turning every archive, every encrypted database, into one repeated line of text. Free Wi-Fi courtesy of Earth. Within a week, every fragment of the old empire crashed under the weight of its own corruption. Its fleets couldn't launch, its factories shut down, its databases looped the same message endlessly. Some thought it mockery. Others saw it as a cosmic joke. But a few, the smart ones, realized it was mercy. The humans could have erased everything. Instead, they chose to embarrass. The galaxy rebuilt in fragments, cautious and reverent. Even the once proud Varnan species erected a small monument, a carved human hand holding a cup. The inscription beneath read, "To those who taught us fear with kindness." Years passed. Empires rose and fell again, as they always do, but whispers of Mother Hen endured. Some said she'd been seen teaching on a small moon, instructing alien cadets in guerrilla strategy. Others swore she'd become something else entirely, a symbol, an AI ghost that watched over Earth's borders, sending polite warnings before deleting fleets from existence. On the distant archive world of Solaris, a young alien historian named Renix sifted through ancient transmissions. His species had been too young to remember the war, but they had grown up on its echoes. He had always wondered, how could one woman hold an empire hostage with a smile? What made humanity so feared, yet so strangely beloved? He played an old recording. Static cleared, revealing Rain sitting at a table, hair loose, eyes weary but alive. She was speaking to someone unseen. "You want to know why we fight?" she asked softly. "Because the universe keeps thinking it understands us. Every empire that's tried to tame us forgets. We came from chaos, not control. We learned cooperation from predators and compassion from pain. We don't seek war. But we finish it. Always. She paused, then smiled faintly. Tell your empress, wherever she is, we're not monsters. We're just efficient. The transmission ended. Renix sat there in silence, heart pounding. The file's metadata placed it centuries earlier, yet the voice was crystal clear, recent, alive. Outside the archive, the sky flared with streaks of light. Ships entering orbit. Panic spread as the planetary defense grid malfunctioned, showing friendly pings where there should be none. Then, over every comm frequency, a calm, familiar voice echoed. Attention Solaris Defense Command. Stand down. This is a training exercise. Renix froze. He knew that tone. He knew that cadence. But she's gone, he whispered. Outside, the lights dimmed. Ships reappeared, aligned perfectly in formation above the city. They weren't attacking. They were writing something across the night sky, with coordinated bursts of thruster fire. In the alien tongue, glowing letters formed. Class resumes Monday. Every broadcast channel lit up simultaneously with static, then a final message signed in English. Special Forces never retire. We just teach part-time. The galaxy erupted in speculation. Was it her? Was it a remnant AI? Or had humanity simply learned the most dangerous lesson of all, how to weaponize myth? Renix didn't know. But as the sky brightened with morning light, he opened his notebook and wrote the closing line of his thesis. Legends survive because they tell the truth, just loudly enough to scare those who forgot it. Later that night, he received an encrypted data packet. Inside was a single photograph. Rains, older now, gray streaks in her hair, standing on a terrace under Earth's sky. In her hand, the same chipped coffee mug. Beneath the image, 4 words glowed softly. Keep the students alive. He smiled through tears, understanding that the galaxy's most feared warrior had become its quietest teacher. Somewhere out there she was still watching, still correcting arrogance with a raised eyebrow and a lesson wrapped in humor. On planets where tyrants rose again, small teams of soldiers began to appear. Men and women who fought unseen, who won wars before they began. They called themselves the Brood. Their symbol was a feather drawn in ash. Their motto, whispered in every language, was simple. Never threaten the nest. And when their missions ended, survivors sometimes found a calling card left behind. A cracked mug half buried in the dirt, still warm, with faint letters etched into its rim. Courtesy of Mother Hen. From the ruins of arrogance to the birth of myth, her legend transcended species, politics, and time. Humanity had proven that the deadliest weapons were not forged in factories, but raised in laughter, discipline, and love disguised as sarcasm. In the end, no one ever truly saw her die. Some said she walked into the ocean and vanished beneath the waves. Others believed she boarded a silent ship and drifted into the dark between galaxies. But on quiet nights when soldiers gathered around campfires on alien worlds, they swore they could hear her voice carried on solar winds, gentle, amused, unafraid. Don't get cocky, kids. The universe is always watching. And the stars above flickered, as if saluting the woman who turned kindness into strategy, humor into dominance, and humanity into the galaxy's most sacred warning.